Hey everybody, Paul Cram here. I wanted to share a little bit, and it's kind of a rant, kind of a story of my latest experience with air travel on an airplane. I was flying out of Hollywood. I was just there working, rehearsing, actually preparing for a film with another Paul, actually Paul Dawson. Some of you might know him from the film Short Bus. And anyway, it's always fun when there's two Pauls or three Pauls or four Pauls or whatever. I don't run into many Pauls along the way. Anyways, so I'm on the airplane and I sit down and two things happen. I'm gonna rant about two things, and the first one actually happened later, but I'll tell it first because it's not quite as bad, at least in my opinion. Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends on what you don't like and you do like, because one of these may be worse than the other. Anyway, so I'm sitting in my chair, and it's a 4-hour flight, which is, it's not that long. It's not like an international flight that's like 14 hours. Like whoa. It's a 4-hour flight, which is a little bit longer than for me. Like the ideal time to be on an airplane would be like a quick little puddle jump flight. Where it's like from I don't know, like an hour and a half, something like that, quick. Anyway, so it's a 4-hour flight, and I'm sitting in my chair, and this is about hour 3, so I've got another hour on the plane, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all of a sudden there's this really, really, really strong smell, and I was like, whoa, blow me over, like, what is the smell? And I was like, I recognize this is so familiar. But my brain, like, for a moment was like, it like stop, because I'm in an airplane and I'm not used to this smell that I'm smelling. Is not an airplane smell. This is not something that I should be smelling on an airplane. And it also, there's something about the smell too, where it's like something about the smell is not healthy. Something, it's like, what's going on? So and then it dawns on me. It's like, oh my gosh, I know what that smell is. That smell is Vicks Vapor Rub. That smell, and I look, and the man in the chair in front of me has some Vicks Vapor Rub, and he's smearing it on his chest, down through his collar, and I'm sitting there, and I started chuckling just a little bit, because I was like, wow, here we're all in this airplane, and we can't like get away. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing with social interactions, and with like public spaces like libraries, and and well, not even libraries. I mean, with public spaces, you don't want to do things that really annoy or get in the way of like other people, what they're doing. And I think when you're in an airplane, like, don't spray super strong cologne or perfume on. You don't put Vicks Vapor Rub on. You don't blow whistles. You don't be super loud. You don't, and the reason you don't do these things is because people around you can't get away. Like, they can't move. They can't, different things like that. Like, it's a social norm. I know that I'm American, and I'm from the Western social thing of, kind of following the rules, and what are the rules, and let's follow the rules for good social interactions. So things that maybe wouldn't annoy somebody that's from a different culture, I get annoyed by them, because I'm American, I guess, in Western culture society. But I'm getting a little bit on a tangent. Rabbit trail, bunny trail, whatever you want to call it. So, and I didn't say anything to the guy that was smearing the vapor rub all over his chest. I personally didn't say anything because I kind of like that smell. I think yeah, it's strong and potent, but give it 10 minutes and it'll simmer down a little bit. If it was a smell that I didn't like, if it smelled like dirty gym socks or something, I probably would have said something. But which actually leads me to the other thing. So we've got Vicks Vapor Rub guy, 3/4 of the way flight that did that. But earlier, I first walk onto the plane, sit in my chair, and there is a woman that ends up being sitting right next to me. She's pretty petite, and she's in her probably late 50s, really dark black hair, and she comes walking onto the plane, and she's got really big high heels on. And I always wonder, in closed toe high heels, which comes into play in a second. And I wonder, when I see women wearing high heels on a plane, or I know that high heels are very attractive and becoming, and they make legs look, sexy and all that stuff. But I always wonder. I'm like, wow, you're gonna be on an airplane for 4 hours. The heels thing, it doesn't work for me. As beautiful as heels are, because I know in my head when you wear those heels, you're not going to keep those heels on for 4 hours. So I was like, huh. So she sits down next to me, and yes, like clockwork, she takes her heels, she takes her shoes off, and so I'm sitting there, and this is before Mr. Vicks Vapor Rub, uh, which if her feet would have stunk, which they didn't, thank God. If they would have stunk, I probably would have been asking the guy in front of me. I would have been like, "Hey, can I borrow some of that Vicks Vapor Rub? I really need to smear it right underneath my nose to cover up, lady foot odor here." But fortunately for me, her feet did not stink. Unfortunately for me, her feet, her feet were how do I put it? Her feet were super dry, a little gnarly. Like they definitely could have used a soak in like some really moisturizing lotion and like for like a couple of weeks. This is I don't know, maybe a pedicure, but anyway, so she gets up and she sits down. She takes off her heels, and let me see if I can show you this. She's sitting in her chair, and she crosses her leg, and so her foot is like my leg is right here, and her foot is here, and she starts doing like she just starts tapping her foot, and eventually she kind of sags down, and so her foot is like rubbing my leg, and the first few times it happened, I was just like, whatever, she's gonna feel that her foot is rubbing, literally, like the heel of her foot is rubbing like my right by my knee and my thigh, because I'm wearing long jeans too, thank God, and she doesn't stop. She actually is just kind of doing the tapping thing, and I glance over at her, and she just seems like she's kind of zoned out. She wasn't like listening to music or anything. And I look down and I'm like, okay, she's rubbing her foot on my leg. A stranger, I don't know this person, is rubbing her dry, cracked, calloused foot on my leg. And it's so good that it didn't stink. That would have been just, oh. So I turned to her and I was just like, excuse me. I was really nice. I wish I would have been like, lady, get your dried, cracked feet in some lotion and get them off my leg. But I didn't do that. I just turned to her and I was like, oh, excuse me, do you mind not tapping my seat and leg here or whatever? Because I knew that I had to. Well, actually, I do that because I don't like to be mean to people. Not that would even be mean, but I think that it could make her feel uncomfortable. At least, I don't know. Whenever I'm doing something and then somebody points it out, if it's kind of a faux pas or something, I can get a little bit embarrassed. So I was trying not to embarrass her if she was just, who knows what was going through her mind. But I wasn't expecting her response of like a dirty look, like kind of like a how dare you tell me what to do look, and I don't know, in my head I'm just baffled by that look a little bit. Because why would you give me a dirty look when your dry cracked foot is rubbing up against my leg? Like, it's not sexy, and you're not trying to make it sexy. If you were, you'd probably be looking at me, or I don't know. Like, it wasn't like you were trying to hit on me. And if you are ever going to try to hit on me, anybody, rubbing your dry cracked foot on my leg, use lotion on your foot first. Anyway, no. So it was interesting. It's interesting, and probably what was going on is, if I had to guess, she probably was a tinge embarrassed, maybe, and that's why she threw the dirty look. That either that or she just was rude, I guess. I don't know. So anyhow, it's so interesting to me, the things that we do and human beings, and when we're in public, and when we're all kind of stuck together. Yeah, it's interesting. But anyhow, that's the end of my rant. Those were the two things that happened. I had the guy smearing all of the Vicks Vapor Rub on his chest on the plane, and then the woman rubbing her foot on me and stuff. And all in all, you know what? I had a great trip, and it was really really productive to do some rehearsing and stuff with the other Paul. So I can't complain too much. I can't complain too much. So what about you? Tell me, let me know. Leave a comment or a video or something or a link, and let me know if you've ever had some really interesting experiences on an airplane or during your travels. I'd love to hear them and stuff, and hopefully some of them will be funny. All right. Thanks, guys. Be in touch. Bye.